What's yours?
Guess.
Listen, asshole!
No, you listen, you little bitch.
Hi everybody, welcome to The Quick Take. My name is Bill and today we're going to finally talk about... Yes, Wes Craven's almost modern classic. Well, not so modern anymore, but it helped launch a classic horror series as well as launched a good career for writer Kevin Williamson. Now, there are a number of key players in this series and a lot of twists and turns, so this take is not going to be as quick of a take as I would like. But let's start with the characters, or better yet, let's get into those characters as we get into this. This was a product of a very good Dimension Films company at a time before Harvey got caught being producer perv. We start this movie with one of the great opening scenes in horror as far as I'm concerned.
Hello?
Drew Barrymore playing Casey Becker, which everyone really thinks is the star of this film going in, actually only lasts to the end of the scene. She receives the phone call which boosts this entire franchise. Because this phone call takes horror trivia a little too seriously. If anyone calls you and asks you what your favorite horror movie is, just hang up.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
So I want to know who I'm looking at.
Casey becomes the prey for an all-new horror villain. Yes, Ghostface. And this guy is not a maniacal slow walker. This dude is fast. After the first of many good chase scenes in this movie, Casey succumbs to some serious brutality, and the birth of a very successful franchise begins. The next scene opens with Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott, the star of all Screams to come, getting a surprise coming into the window visit from Johnny Depp wannabe Skeet Ulrich, which we're going to refer to him as a mixture of Johnny Depp and himself for the rest of this take. Anyhow, this Johnny wannabe wants in Sid's pajamas. Skeet Johnny Depp's plan is thwarted, so no inside the jammies tonight. So he crawls back down the window, but not without getting a guilt-ridden PG booby showing from Sid as he's crawling out. The next day we even get more character introductions as the word is out about Casey Becker, Drew Barrymore, and her boyfriend being gutted the night before. Tatum, played by the crazy Rose McGowan. Gail Weathers, the reporter, played by Courtney Cox. The principal of the school, played by the Fonz himself, Henry Winkler. Hey. And at some point, either before or after, we meet Dewey, the simpleton sheriff, and a series favorite played by David Arquette, who is also Tatum's brother in the movie. Why, I don't know. Then after school, we get some gratuitous character development with the whole gang together, and that's where we meet Stu, played by Matthew Lillard. He is a great character and my favorite character of any Scream movie. Soon after, at her own house, Sidney starts getting stalked by the same killer, which is Ghostface of course, that killed her high school buddies. She escapes, and Billy Skeet Depp, after just conveniently showing up at her house afterwards, gets hauled away as a suspect. No kidding, really. Moving on, we will get some history between Gail and Sidney, and then Billy, Johnny Ulrich Skeet trying to reconcile with Sidney. Another attack on Sidney in the bathroom at school, which is again a big fail. And then an attack on Principal Fonz, which unfortunately is successful. The scene changes to the video store, where we finally meet Randy, the video guy played by Jamie Kennedy. Remember those things that used to rent out movies you could go and get them for your enjoyment? Anyhow, Jamie basically blames Billy Depp Johnny Skeet for all of these attacks and then goes on his diatribe about the formula of horror movies. This is the formula for this and all Scream movies to come, and actually, it's a pretty good formula for all horror movies in general. So, good job Kevin Williamson with that. As with every good horror slasher flick, there has to be a party. So party time at Stu's this time. And the party begins, there's everybody there, but Gail shows up in her TV van where she actually gets in with help from her new smoochie, Sheriff Dewey, and manipulates a video camera to stake out the partygoers. After the party gets going, Rose heads to the garage for some beer where she meets Ghostface. She puts up a fight, but she also loses. I mean, seriously, how many people get killed getting caught in a pet flap in a garage door? As predicted, Billy Johnny Ulrich Depp shows up to the party and finally gets his way into a reconciliation by talking Sidney into going upstairs. And of course he gets a little heavier than that. Depp Skeet's Billy's charm must have worked well because Sidney is getting pretty forgivable. Skeet Depp Johnny Billy is going to be taking Sidney to the boneyard. We then end back to the party where they're watching my favorite horror movie of all time.
The one, the only, the classic, Halloween.
Randy, the video guy, again elaborates the rules of survival for horror movies. This is demonstrated by Johnny Skeet Billy Depp and Sidney paralleling those rules when doing the horizontal mambo. Well, the romp is over, but it must not have been too impressive for Sid, who continues to question Billy Skeet about his whereabouts on the night she first got attacked and he got hauled away. However, the conversation is short-lived as he gets attacked by Ghostface and kabam! Things rev up with some good action now. Dewey ends up with a knife in his back, Gail's cameraman goes down, more chases with Sidney, and finally we are getting to the climax. Seriously, there's so much to take on this movie. It's definitely not quick. Finally, here comes the twist. Johnny Billy Depp is alive, and he ends up shooting Randy. Billy Depp Ulrich is the killer. Stu is also the killer. Tag freaking team, baby! This has all been a plot to kill Sidney all along due to Skeet Billy Depp's dad banging Sidney's mom and the little whiner's mom walking out. Boo freaking who. They killed Sidney's mom, now her. Why? Now we'll get to that later. Anyhow, they bring out Sidney's dad, who they had kidnapped all along, and the plan is to blame him for the whole thing. Isn't it interesting that the only people that are getting whacked around here are innocent people? In order to make this nutbag master plan real, Johnny Skeet Ulrich and Stu decide to stab each other. And I mean a lot. And deep. And as they are messing each other up, Sidney escapes. She turns the tables and ends up stalking them both. And in costume, I may add. And both get jacked up. And after Randy, who ends up still alive, throws out a few more movie rules, Billy Johnny Depp Ulrich does a final jump scare where Gail ends Mr. Johnny Wannabe by a bullet in the head. Here are some of my favorite things about this movie. First of all, the way it was written and the way it was directed. Wes Craven, Kevin Williamson. I mean, you can't say more than that. They put a stylistic approach to this genre, really, and they turned a great little horror movie into something that stuck just because it was a little different. And not to mention the story itself with the twists were just fantastic. Of course, the other thing I really liked was all the reference to horror movies, especially my favorite, Halloween, of course. Another thing is the movie captivates you in a way that you really don't go past the scenes that you're watching. There's a lot of different things that go on to this, so many twists and turns. I mean, in this take, I didn't even really do a lot in terms of really getting in depth like so many other reviewers do, and it was still in depth because there was so much more to talk about. Also, I think that they probably had some pretty good characters in it. I think Neve Campbell, of course, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette, of course, were veterans, but Matthew Lillard was the one that got me, the one who played Stu. His comedy timing was perfect, his acting was good, and besides some bungled lines, and I don't mean bungled by the way the actors did it, by just some of those lines that Kevin Williamson wrote for him, he still pulled it off, and I thought he was a really great character. The other one that pulled it off was Jamie Kennedy. Jamie Kennedy was even a little bit more creeper just by the way he was when he was discussing the rules of horror movie and that kind of stuff. The other thing that I really liked was the Drew Barrymore bait and switch. They put her on the title, they put her on the commercials, and they put her on a poster, like big. So it made it look like Drew Barrymore was the star of this movie, when actually she was just a cameo, and that really kind of set the thing off. I mean, this whole thing was different, and that's what I liked about it. Some of the things I didn't like about it, like I said, some of the dialogue I wasn't too crazy about with the kids, but you know what, it still worked the story over, it compensated for that. Maybe not overcompensated, but it compensated for that. So the dialogue, not too crazy in parts, but other parts it wasn't too bad. The other thing is I think the motive was weak. I mean, you go after innocent people and kill these guys just because you're pissed off at this girl's mom for jackwagging your dad, right? And they go at it and then she leaves him, but so they got to take it out on everybody else. Sidney had nothing to do with it, but the story there, the little motive was a little weak, but you can see, okay, he's disturbed or whatever, so I'll let that fly. But anyway, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your patience. It took me forever to do this thing. Thanks for watching this. Please subscribe, because it doesn't do anything but help me. And even if you don't like me, subscribe anyway. Just do me a favor, because I'm a nice guy. And don't forget to like and share. Thank you. This was a quick take. Hope you guys have a great day.
Jiffy Pop popcorn. Yay! Jiffy Pop is as much fun to make as it is to eat. Here it goes. And just taste that fresh, hot, delicious popcorn.
Jiffy Pop Popcorn. It's the family treat that makes watching TV as much fun as going to the movies.